No, we usually get our own.
So I'm lost. And that's a lot. They're both out of engagement with the frustration.
Yeah, we're gonna go on.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the committee of the whole on this Tuesday, November the 14th, 2023. The meeting tonight is being held and transmitted electronically via the council chambers, which are located at 39 South Shore Road in Lake Cowichan, British Columbia, and transmitted via our YouTube channel. For those who are anticipating Councillor Frisbee would be the chair tonight, but he is absent on a pre-approved leave of absence. So I will be taking the lead at this meeting. First of all, I would like to acknowledge our gathering this evening on the traditional unceded ancestral territory of the Subasa people who have walked on these lands for millennia, and we thank them for the opportunity to share these events. So looking at the agenda, any introduction of late items with the staff first? No. Anyone on this side? Looking for approval of the agenda, please. Moved by Councillor Womack, seconded by Councillor Austin. All those in favor? Opposed, if any? Motion carries. Thank you. Minutes. This is for information only, but this would be a time if you see any errors or omissions to bring them up before it goes to council for ratification. Councillor Austin. I did not, but I will go back and bring that up. I was. We'll do the minutes first, then we'll go back. Nothing on there that you see. Okay, that'll go to council for ratification. I just got to. Yeah, keep everyone on their toes. Make sure Councilor Frisbee's watching on the line. So public input is for any item on the agenda tonight that you wish to have input on. You have 3 minutes, and we will not do anything that is a delegation or representation. But if you have something on some of the items within here that you'd like public input, if you would please state your name and address and what topic you wish to speak to, just for information. Seeing none, I think we'll move on. See our business. Any business arising or unfinished business? Done, right? Okay, delegations and representations. We have Sharon Holmes, Patrick Smith. Yeah, as a delegation, so you have 10 minutes. Okay. If you want to come up with the camera, will get you and no, I'll just come and stand here. Okay, you have to speak loudly so you'll pick it up. Okay. All right.
Well, yeah, I gave everybody to follow along. I'm going to probably read a lot of it and get written down here. There's our property. So what we're here tonight going to talk about the proposed future for lot 48 and lot 20, Boston Lake and Grants Lake property. And our Walking Eagle Bird and Wildlife Preserve is what we're going to talk about tonight. So Sharon and myself, Pat Smith, we've lived on Boston Lake for 37 years. Bought the lakes, lot 48 in 2015 and lot 20 in 2016 when they were in bankruptcy. We approached Joe to try to subdivide lot 20 into 2 lots in 2020. We've been at it a little bit for a while, so I'm just going to do a brief history of it and then get into the new stuff. After much back and forth, we decided to go ahead and apply to do a cul-de-sac at the end of Joel Road, which is made up of half of lot 20 and half of lot 48. was always owned by two different people. No one person ever owned both of those pieces of property. So we started in March 21st, 2021. Did the surveying, retained an engineer, did the environmental assessment, the wildfire hazard assessment. Registered the plan with the BC government and working all along with Joe. Probably over 8 months back and forth, so it was always working out good and cordial and stuff. And we were thinking that our plan was going to be a good to go. And then we had a meeting with the planner on November 16, 2021. And we sort of received a massive shock when he came in the last second. And his idea was for a road to go right through the middle of our cul-de-sac that we've been negotiating with Joe with, and a big turnaround at the end. If you look at a map, giving you a map of this one here, just have a look. That's in your brochure everywhere. And the red is the planner's writing, and the rest is all, but the lines are all by the engineer and by the Bob Crandall, the QEP, did all the assessments. So after we were in there and he showed us this map, he told us we could move certain boundaries back to 15 meters, and he called our creek, he called it a ditch. And he said, well, Bob's assessed everything. You can't do any of this, or you can't, you're not the QEP. Bob's the QEP, or E, sorry. And it's a creek. So the difference between a ditch and a creek is going to need a bridge over a piece of property. But by the time we took the 7.5 off his proposed plan, and we said we can't do this unfeasible. There's no point in us carrying on any longer, and we walked away from the plan. And that was actually 2 years ago. So we're here 2 years right now, sort of. And where am I here? Yeah, I can take a breath. So we had the massive shock about that, got rid of our idea, and then just went about doing other things and stuff. All along, sort of parking the property out and things like that. And our idea all along was to be purchase it, because we lived there so long. It was such an unbelievable place. Was to initially park it all up, make it into a bird and wildlife reserve, and then maybe sell those properties off down the road at some point in the future. So John, council, we have a copy of the letter that covers everything about what happened 2 years ago. We wrote the letter 2 years ago, but we never sent it because we didn't want to employ anybody, because we figured we'd have to work with the planner down the road as it was. But you have the letter that we had 2 years ago. So now on to our new proposal and what we're proposing next. We're proposing a new plan for the development of lot 48 and lot 20, located at the end of Joel Road in the town of Lake Couch. We had previously submitted a plan in 2021 and provided the mayor and council members with a copy of the letter we wrote in December 2021. After we withdrew the proposal that we never sent to them, it explains our reasons for withdrawing our proposal and our views on the future of our properties. We didn't send a letter for many reasons, exactly what I just said. We didn't want to jeopardize future negotiations. And we've been the idea of doing anything for a while, almost 2 years right now, and pursued other projects. In June of this year, we met with Joe's and discussed subdividing lot 20 into 2 building lots. And if you look on the big map there, you can see lot 20, and there's 2 lots. And so we went back and forth with Joe about all that stuff. But then we were given a list of concerns from staff, which were almost identical to the list we were given when we applied for the 7-lot subdivision. Lot 20 was by itself. It had nothing to do with lot 48, but they still listed a pile of things they wanted us to do. So we're not having much luck at this stage of doing anything with that property. We're in the process of working with Rob and Kenyon and Wilson to represent us moving forward with our application. When we were made aware of the open house, and on September 23rd, you might have heard me say something with that. Well, much to our shock, there's new language was being proposed to include the town being able to expropriate our property for a future collector road at the end of Joel Road. So I asked our consultant about it, have you ever seen anything like that before? And he says he's never seen the words expropriation in any other jurisdictions, bylaws, or OCPs. So we went to the public meeting on September 25th this year and aired our concerns about the proposal to add the word expropriation to the OCP and how we were treated when we tried to develop our land previously. We've come to the realization that we need to approach council directly to make sure that our new plan is heard and considered. And in order to understand how we got where we were today, you need to read the letter that we provided, and to come and have a tour of our property to fully appreciate what we are proposing. So you can just, it's all right to look over this and stuff, but if you don't come there and have a look at the property and what we're actually going to give up here, then you won't really know. So I hope you all will take time to come out there and just have a look at what we're actually going to do. So overview of the plan is to develop the area at the end of Joel Road and lot 20 with a 6 to 7 lot subdivision and cul-de-sac, and approximately 4-acre area located on the west side of Blossom Lake, which is accessed from Grants Lake Road. After phase 1 and 2 is completed, we intend to donate to the town the remainder of parcel lot 48, which would be plus or minus 83 acres as a burden wildlife reserve. Other land that will be given to the town is the area at the end of Joel Road on which the sewage pumping station is on, and we currently own. Somehow it never got transferred to the town way back when. It's on our property right now. A park on the north side of the cul-de-sac for public use. An access road through the cul-de-sac for egress to the back creek. There's a cul-de-sac there where the road always went. So we're proposing that it goes back to the same spot. This is for forest lighting, or also a walking trail and biking trail. The wildlife reserve will have a restricted covenant on it to protect the habitat and wildlife corridor around the lakes, and to designate certain areas for public access. In exchange for all this donated parkland, we are requesting that the town disregards the proposed future collector road at the end of Joel Road in the OCP mobility map on page 141 and approves our plan. The future collector road is a misguided concept that will not be supported by the town residents. We also request to wait how long we've been involved in trying to subdivide our land that we be grandfathered into the existing lot development fees for the Joel Road 6 to 7 lot cul-de-sac, which will be phase 1. Our plan will not cost the town any money, will create needed housing, provide a turnaround at the end of Joel Road, access to the creek between the lakes and beyond, give the town a sewage pumping station, parkland for the public, and gives them a path towards owning a vital part of the storm drainage artery that the lakes provide. And owning the bird and wildlife reserve will be something that council can do to ensure the area will be preserved for future generations and make our town a leader in environmental protection by the community guiding environment. Right, you're right. Thank
Okay,
you.
before we carry on, do you need one time? I'll have to get that's 10 minutes. So
Oh, that's what I was thinking.
that's okay. I'd like to ask my fellow councilors if they would like to extend. Everyone okay with extending? All in favor? The need unanimous decision, that was unanimous.
Okay, thank you. So what we're planning to do is to do it in 3 phases, because obviously to do everything at once is pretty ominous thing. So the first phase of our proposal would be to create a 6 to 7 lot subdivision at the Joel Road. Obviously, everything depends on conforming with the bylaws and making sure the lot sizes and all that is done. So they're not at that stage yet. We would have 5 to 6 lots at the end of the Joel Road on a cul-de-sac with a dedicated town access road through the lots to access the culvert and the creek for maintenance, as well as for emergency vehicles for fire evacuation. It would go to the existing culvert on the creek, which goes to the existing road across the creek. There will be a turnaround area at the end of the road, and this will be town land. It will also serve as a trail for the public to walk or bike to block 200 in the future for community connectivity. Of course, that's going on to Mosaic's ground. So if permission has to be granted, then that's something that would have to be looked at, not for us. We will also have a public park on the north entrance to the subdivision for the public to sit, have lunch, and serve the lake. a trail through the forest along the north side of Blossom Lake from the new park to the end of the new access road and then across the creek to block 200 will become available once the town gains ownership of the preserve and permission from Mosaic. And the 6th or 7th lot is accessed from Joel Road between lots 18 and 19 via 15-meter wide panhandle entrance. There'd be protected covenant on all the environmental setbacks as identified in the riparian assessment report. The area of forest on lot 20, which is approximately 1.1 acres, will be donated to the town as part of the Bird and Wildlife Preserve. And it would have like what we're thinking, because it can't be left stranded, to have a access from behind the sewage pumping station along lot 21, like a 3-meter wide or whatever's necessary. Then we've talked to Jazz. So all the sewer and water connections are readily available at each site. Fire hydrants, power, it's basically all ready to go. We've already done the environmental assessment, had engineers do it. We've had the wildfire assessment done. So from that perspective, everything is good to go. And we want to get our application started as soon as possible because we've started in 2020 and most of the preliminary work's been done except the surveying and the engineering plan. But we realize there'll be things that need to be worked out, which we'll be using Penny and Wilson to represent us in that. And then phase 2 would involve subdividing a development lot on the west side of Blossom Lake, which right now we're estimating is 3 to 4 acres. We haven't done the final surveying there. There's already an access road into the entrance of the future lot from Grants Lake Road, as well as a registered easement from Joel Road for sewage and storm drain access into the lot. A large part of that area on the side of the lot will remain attached to lot 48, including all lakefront, the access road off Joel Road, which is located between Chappelle and Powassan. This access road has an unregistered storm drain that goes into Powassan Lake. The town would have ownership and access to the area once the property is transferred. Our gift of the lakes and surrounding land would be our part contribution, and the development lot would not have to provide more parkland except to access for the public to link up with the Grants Lake Road from the new public walkway from Powassan Crescent. At Powassan Crescent, there's a public entrance, and that's a good place for it to come and go down in front. If you go the other way, it floods all the time because people have their drains going from all their back lots there. So anyhow, thinking of this, so it would have a continuity where wherever you kind of decide the lot will go, or the trail will go around and link up with Grants Lake. Where am I now? The land was prepared for development almost 30 years ago by the previous owner. It's well suited for many uses as it's flat and easily accessed. There will be many details to be sorted out with regard to this phase, but we intend to begin the process as soon as phase 1 has final approval. We look forward to working with Joe and the town staff on this project. And once final approval is given for phase 2, we will begin the process to register a protective covenant on the remainder of lot 48. The covenant will be done working with the town. Our main concerns would be to maintain the wildlife corridor and limit public access to many areas around the lakes to ensure the long-term viability of the environment and wildlife. There'd be exceptions for the town to access land, other details that could be discussed at the time. And then once we come to a mutually agreeable terms with the protected covenant, we would move forward with registering and transferring ownership of the remainder of lot 48 and lot 20 to the town of Lake Township. And then as the process moves forward, the idea to start up a web-based service to share the preserve with the public to begin. We could work with the town to set up trail cams. And we see it as a great way for the town to promote itself as strong steward to the environment. We're really excited about the future of the lakes and work with the town to make, which we've named, as you can see in the sign, we've had the signs up for 7 years. Walking Eagle Bird and Wildlife Preserve, and make it a jewel in the crown of Lake Powassan. And we look forward to taking the mayor, the councilors, and any other interested parties on the tour of our proposal. Pictures cannot do justice in showing how special this area is. We must see it in person. As we've lived on the lakes for 37 years and we've been privileged to own them since 2015, we want to make sure that it will be here for future generations to enjoy and that the wildlife, birds, insects, amphibians, and the environment remains vibrant. In the words of the Canadian icon Joni Mitchell, don't it always seem to go that you don't know what you got till it's gone? They paved paradise, put up a parking lot. I was gonna sing it, but anyhow, thank you so much for listening to us. We really would appreciate if you come and have a tour. We're available anytime and we'll accommodate you. I know it's gonna be sunny all week, so before the next rains come, the only thing I would say is gun boots are necessary because lots of areas are flooded right now.
Great, thank you very
Thank
much. I did not mention that we do not make decisions at a delegation.
Like, so we know this
We
is just the
appreciate
first
you
step.
making your presentation to council. Just for clarification, if there's any other questions on the presentation.
Clarification, so lot 48 and lot 20 is a division.
No,
By the looks.
remember that here. This is lot 20, right in here, it's 2.56 acres. Lot 38, it's 29 acres.
This is just a division of one.
Yeah, it is, no, it's not the middle of the policy.
Oh,
Well, this was originally split up, but I really consider. It was originally, that was needed, now I'm seeing very well, this is where we
so you own both lots, 48 and then it's all in one house.
Well, no, there's still the part, so that's why there's the.
By the way,
Exactly, so on this map, we get to what is, would be the cul-de-sac. So this would be the town line. With an access road, and this is where it's the culvert is approximately, it goes out to block 200, okay? But all this surrounding the area. It's a lot to digest, there's a lot of information in there, and there's not any.
because we talked, and said there were two owners, but now there's one owner.
We are
One owner.
we are,
Yeah, okay.
yeah, which is a nice usual situation.
Thank you. Hey, thank you.
Any further questions or comments? Thank you very much.
Yeah.
So, moving forward, we have correspondence on 65 Calvin Road. Joseph, would you like to speak to this?
Well, other than the fact that I got an email from him, I've had no further discussions with Mr. Howard. And we've had discussions in terms of what his proposal is, in terms of putting tiny houses on that property. It's just, when I talked to him at the time, I said, doesn't look like it's a feasible project. But he decided to pursue that. And obviously, the next step for him to do is make an application. I mean, for him to just make a presentation without an application makes not a lot of sense.
And if I may, this is in response to council's direction for you to reach out on the unsightliness of that property. So this was the return correspondence on what his plans were moving forward.
Yes.
Thank you very much. Does that property reside in the DPA?
All down is DPA. Development permitted,
Yes.
because it's fire, it's not, and that's commercial too. So
Commercial
it's
C1?
the C one.
Thank you.
There'll be two development permit issues that he's got to deal with.
So that is correspondence. I don't think we need a response from this table at this time. We thank staff for moving forward with at least getting a response to our concerns on what plans we're moving forward on that property. And we will see what transpires in the future. And that is the only piece of correspondence. We have under reports, the Director of Finance, the financial report for the period ending October 31st. Ms. Gill.
Yes, I'm pleased to present the statements. They're attached to the general sewer and water funds. Surplus is overstated because we still have outstanding payables and capital projects in progress for year end. The town fleet was just insured. Total cost was $33,867. We had a higher discount this year, but we have additional vehicles and trailers that were reserved this year. So it is higher than last year. With the 7.4 million in funding announced for the wastewater infrastructure upgrades, council approval is required for the preliminary design and engineering. The project is to be completed no later than March 31st, 2022. The campground booking software, we've been in touch with them. It's been completely overhauled, and there will be a change in the building structure as well. We'll now be collecting the booking fee, which was being retained previously, and will be required to pay the software vendors once a month. The recommendation is to keep the booking fee at $3 per reservation, but that will come forward in the fees and services bylaw. The contract price for the municipal hall renovation was $3.1 million before tax. Currently, there's still a $50,000 holdback that has yet to complete the contract.
Thank you very much. I'm sure there'll be a few questions, looking to my colleagues. Councilor Bowman.
Question to either our superintendent or to yourself. We budgeted once again 2023 for banners for $9,000. And so last year we did the 9,000 budget, we didn't spend any. This year we budgeted 9,000 and we spent $1,896. And as I was leaving town a few days ago, I noticed that they're in the sad disrepair. And I'm wondering what we can do to get better light out of the ones that we're buying instead of leaving them up until we have to replace them. Though there's a cost for putting them up and taking them down, but it's also sad to see all the money spent and then just go into tax. So is there a plan? Is my question of this in the budget? What we're going to do?
We're in the midst of, ordering the one for springtime. So the leaving them off versus taking them down, it's quite expensive to take them down to the pump. And we only get a year to buy them that they're faded. So we told them to just leave them up for 2 years, remove them and then. So there's some are in real bad shape down there. This last spring is more right off. We'll remove those if they look like a shed. It's springtime. Quality wise, we looked into it before, but it's very expensive. Shape
So then once they get put out, will be last and there at the time.
Yeah. So each year is paid out so much, it's not, we find it's not worth, but half of, 50% of the purchase price is $2,100 each time.
So the budget from last year and this year, they really couldn't replace it between the ones.
Yeah, we didn't have the budget last year, but this year we're ordering something spring.
Okay, thank you.
Councilor Sanders.
Thank you. Just a couple questions through the Director of Finance. I had actually asked for the municipal cost to go on here. But part of that, I was looking back the last 3 years to what we've actually paid out for the renovation, which was 3.580694. Does that include like the contractors, like the billable, the outside billable, because there was outside billable contracts, like jobs for this project and the architect map, is that included in this?
No,
The 3.1 number I gave you is just COTW.
That's just contract. So could we ask for an actual cost, once this is complete, an actual final?
if I can speak to that. See what happened, there are other costs that the town incurred prior to the building even being tendered. We had the roof issues, we had the demolition of this. And CEDO was involved in a lot of the work that was involved here, had nothing to do with the contractors. We did that on our own in terms of getting the ground seismically prepared for the building. So if you want to look at the entire part, it's a bad chunk.
Well, I think for me personally, not just as a counselor, but also as a resident, is it's not to dissect the final cost. The cost is a cost. But at the end of the day, I find this a little bit misleading because there's things that, as you said, you had to do ahead of time before this could be done, and there are a few things missing. So for me, it's just a final cost of
So
this.
you want it total going back a number of years, not just this year, not last year, but
Well,
going
in
back
2019, that's when there was it 2019?
2019, well,
Yeah.
that's one move.
Yeah, so I'm just thinking like anything to do with this building, this new building is just what the cost is.
Okay, another one?
I would just under parks, there's parks general. I've never noted that before.
Yeah, it's where it doesn't fit any other parts. Just gets lumped.
So just if there's excess, okay, thank you.
Thought that was that one. Is that on
Sure. Did you have anything on?
No, that's okay.
Thank you, and I think just for clarification, contract price for the renovation is strictly for the COTW contract.
That was the tender price,
And the tendered.
Plus
Project.
plus the change order.
Change orders that came in. According to that, but we have done considerable work getting to that tender phase. Whether it was the roof, whether it was the heating system, whether it was the seismic upgrade to accommodate this facility. And the change orders on shear walls, etc., which we did not anticipate would have bumped up that final cost as well. We all knew that going in, it was not going to be a $2 million project, given supply chain issues, given 300% increase in delivery charges, for instance, in the lifetime of this project, 200% increase in construction materials. So we could not have done this at a worse time, but we could have not done it at a better time. If you know what I mean. It's done. I think that this will be serving the people of the town for a considerable time to come. And I think we can at least stand behind the process as we went forward in the proper tendering of this project and the completion of it. We're never happy with the renovation project. We would have been done considerably sooner and probably less money had we built elsewhere on a vacant piece of land, but then this would be a part. Maybe that was the answer. But anyways, I'm just. We're here, and then later on, we're going to talk about when you're going to invite people to come. Nothing else in the financial? Next is the building inspectors report. That is for information. Anything here? No? Okay, I'll move that forward. The Council Fire Department incident report for September. We do need a resolution on this one. To spend $8,503.57 for the month of September. Moved by Councilor Austin, seconded by Councilor Naka. Questions on that? Yes, Councilor.
Question is to in the 1 month of the full farm activations. And then the question was there, do you keep track of the addresses or are they recurring ones that are in?
One was recovered, yes, and we could try.
And at what point do you decide to?
Well, the recommendation of the five.
The recommendation point?
Well, I'll piggyback on that. We did endorse a bylaw for alarms activated. If it was more than 3 in 1 year, that the cost would be recovered to that property. So we're hoping that the fire department is keeping track of those calls as to whether there is 3 calls within a 12-month period to recover some of those costs. Nothing else on that? That's been moved and seconded. All those in favor? Opposed, if any? That motion carries. Thank you very much. The strategic plan that we did ask for, that'll come forward in December's committee of the whole.
Yeah, it'll be detailed, with up-to-date issues.
Okay, and we'll update the process as to where we are on the yearly plan and where we are in the.
And new stuff that will be added.
Okay. Any input on that?
Just got a comment.
Yeah.
But just if we can have it on our committee of the whole every month and just a quick review, just whether,
I thought we were gonna do it for this. I don't know, it's up to you.
I haven't heard that.
It's just a lot more meaningful if you do it. For every month, you do it every month, it just doesn't seem as effective, but it's up to you.
I just don't want it to fall off the agenda, is my concern, is because it did, so I'd like to see that we're consistent.
Okay, so we'll bring that forward for update and seeing where we are in our strategic plan. And if it needs some tweaking.
It needs a lot of.
Emergency management plan, yes, Councillor.
So again, it was supposed to be part of the monthly committee of the whole, just, we had motioned, I think, in July, maybe June or July, where we were going to just review small sections, just,
Yeah, well, we also talked about doing it in January. So there was discussion about having a workshop held just for council in January.
is that right?
Yeah, you did. We can go back to minutes. So I had a meeting last week with 2 staff people from emergency council. Brian Wainwright, senior manager, and April Diver. They've agreed to come here in January to do a workshop just that for council's benefit.
Okay, as this, if I may, this is moved into a regional function on the emergency management portion of it. I think there's still a need with our autonomy, which is different than Shawnigan, for instance, or Mill Bay, to focus on the priorities of emergency management that may affect us.
The local ones.
And that would be the focus of what the intent of this is, not the regional plan, but our own
Our local.
local.
So they will be here in January, but it will not be at a committee meeting. It'll be a standalone, it'll be a standalone work.
Okay, and then moving forward, if we can dissect that part of it into what is a local focus, that would be something that we could move forward in bi-monthly update perhaps. Okay, and I brought forward with some of the disrespect at some of the meetings that have taken place throughout the Cowichan Valley. I think it's important that we implement a safe space bylaw where everyone is encouraged to attend and behave themselves. Strictly speaking, there has been some disruptions in the various council meetings of factions within the community that do not agree with all aspects of governance and have disrupted many meetings accordingly. I think it's important not only to protect our staff, but it's also important to protect my councilors, which we work in a safe place. So this is just to give us some tools to adjourn meetings, to manage our process, our agendas, if something does transpire. I don't expect it to, but if you don't come prepared and something does transpire, whether it's factions within the community that don't agree with certain aspects of the public education system, which has happened at a number of council meetings, and not that council has any input into school district or education processes, but that's the avenue that some of these groups tend to focus on, is the elected bodies. I just wanted to see something that was similar to North Intelligence, perhaps come forward and implemented in case that's transpired in their community, not just for us, but for future councils as well. I think we've seen an increase in disrespect at some community meetings, not here locally, but in a number of other areas. I'd like to see this implemented if you're saying that. Okay. So that will come forward just for the next meeting to council meeting for discussion, and if we have a chance,
Did you want me to draft file?
something similar to that, if you would. I thought that was a good template to work off of. You don't have to go verbatim, but.
Yeah, and I have to make some changes based on what others have done.
Perfect. Appreciate that. No more input on that? Thank you. The demolition of Miller Child Annex. Was that you?
No, it wasn't. I seconded just to get on the table, but I believe that, Councillor Frisbee wanted, it was part of the motion was amended that it be brought to the committee of the whole in December, because he was gonna be away for this month's meetings. I wrote it, I was sitting next to him and I had.
I think his concern was the conflict of overages at the very beginning.
Yeah, that was, yeah.
But that has been tendered and approved in principle.
Yeah, well, if I can speak to that.
Absolutely.
Just going back to the minutes from the last council meeting. There was a move and a second. Council Frisbee and Council Womaka moved to basically say that the tender be awarded. And there was some discussion. But that, there was no question called on that motion. And then Council Frisbee moved that the demolition be referred to a future meeting. Didn't say what, the future meeting. And there was not a second to that meeting.
I seconded that.
But it doesn't reflect that in what we listen.
It was the other motion that he wanted to be at, was for the Airbnbs and stuff. It wasn't this motion that he wanted for December.
But in any case, I think the issue is, you know, just because the council is missing is not a reason to delay an important issue like this. You either do it or you just cancel the idea, full notion of tendering this post. Just say, no bids accepted and move on. And leave the building as it is. We're here talking about ugly buildings. And yet we have a building that's sitting next to it. That's quite unsightly, really, next to this building. I mean, are we that proud of this building next door? You know, just my 2 cents.
Appreciate that. I have Councillor Bonaka and then Councillor Ellison.
The reason that it was deferred to the next meeting was because I had asked who was going to act on behalf of the town of Lake Cowichan because of the hazmat, and then Councillor Frisbee also said, well, that was my next question, who's going to oversee the project? And then for on behalf of the town's best interest, and that was supposed to come back to. this
Well, that,
meeting.
if I may, that's why we have qualified contractors dealing with it.
Yeah.
We have done 2 or 3 demolitions previously. We had no supervision, because the people that do the demolition are qualified people. They do it well, and you know, the only supervision you need at the end of the day is to see if the job's been done. When it's a demolition, it's not a new building.
Follow up, or can I go to my next speaker? Councillor Austin.
Well, I just know we've been talking about this topic a long time, and I think the people that are demolishing it they have done an agreement or something. And
And you bring-
we do need the parking, especially for if people are coming here, especially for when our open houses.
Yeah, and the other thing, if I may add, the fire department's not quite concerned. Because if they have to fight a fire here, there is not a chance for them to access this place from that side.
And I just got to follow up on that. I would like to see once that building has been removed, because we haven't talked about that for about 3 years now. That we have a plaque there with maybe a little tiny garden that talks about Mildred Child and, you know, the history of the building and that type of thing. So I think that is really important. That was the library, then it was the council chambers, then it, but it's not a fancy building, it was actually brought there, it wasn't built there, so it is quite easy to tear down. So there should not be any overages with the tenders of the library offer. I just don't see any reason to keep better people on.
Okay. No, good. And I think no one disagrees that it comes down. I think the concern of Councilor Frisbee was some of the reference to the low cost between the two bids and how expansive that was between the two competing bids, and whether or not there would be a possibility of an overage unforeseen circumstance within that little bit. I think that was the concern, and if we can appease that, no one disagrees that it shouldn't be that. So,
We have an example, the salary was 29,000. We, John Bauer's place was how much? 28,000, so they're very pricey, but those prices didn't go over. That was the price we ended up paying. I mean, the only reason it would go over is if something is discovered there that, below the building that needs to be removed. That would be.
oil tankers. Okay, just so we're on the same page, nobody disagrees that it should not come down. The implementation of parking was in this plan when the renovation of this project went forward. And the Mildred child coming down was to accommodate the parking that we needed according to the bylaw that we should adhere to. So with that, and moving on. Do we need a resolution?
You would, because there was no resolution.
So there was a motion to award that at a future meeting, Councilor Austin. Can you give us the name of the contractor at this moment?
Broad demolition.
For me?
Broad demolitions. BROD,
BROD
demolition,
demolition. We awarded the demolition of the Mildred Child Annex
for 37,500 plus GST.
for 37,500 plus GST. That's moved by Councilor Boston. Do I have a seconder? Seconded by Councilor Romanaka. Further discussion on that? I think we beat this one to death. All those in favor? Opposed? Please note, Councilor Sandry opposed. He would like that, no, that would not, it's on video. Okay, thank you. Moving on, Christmas lighting. Shall we go to the superintendent for that one?
Yes.
All right.
Most of the lighting is up. The bears down at the visitor center. Lights back up and the other mall, they stay where they go. Whether or not we're ready to go.
The information center and it's the big Sequoia being done?
That's the lights are on.
Yes,
Never, we don't take it down.
just the star on top, is just the star up top, is it still there? Perfect. Anyone else? Yes.
Well, I'd actually asked this to go on the agenda for a couple of reasons, is I had, a couple people contact me wanting to know if Public Works needed any help this year, like this with volunteers to help. So that is out there.
And the other thing is the lighting at the info center. The chambers asked if those lights would be lit prior to their parade, and they're okay with that.
26.
If we light up.
Yeah,
We're, we got new lights for there, we're installing tomorrow or the next day. That would be ready to go.
Did Public Works do, Central Park, like along, I think in the past, you've done the shrubs and all that going down the stairs and that, like along that whole.
On another note, there was a volunteer group that did the Forest Memorial Park, and unfortunately, somebody needed the extension board and the lights more than the park did, so that had been replaced last night. It's unfortunate that that outside organization put their own funds towards that, and to see that the missing was please. And it's all up and going again, have a look when you go home and fix it. Okay, and on the,
Going back to Christine's question about volunteers for Mr. Name for next year. Let us know what we're looking at.
I think we have utilized some volunteers in the past, so certainly some to look at. Take ownership. On the information center, I think great job on sandblasting and staining of that. But I also noted that the totem pole at Sebastian Square had also been done. That's looking well maintained, and I think that was part of the concern from the First Nation as to whether that was going to be done. So kudos to yourself and to the contractor for a job well done.
Yeah, you did a good job.
Very good. Yes. Next is CAO on preliminary engineering and design of not the town hall, but
No, I've got to change it. Thanks to the superintendent. I don't know why, you just copy something.
copy and paste.
Copy and paste, and if you don't say,
Joseph,
okay, well, I'll let the superintendent speak to you.
okay,
We've spoken to the engineer, WSP a few times now, and they've given us this proposal. We'll be speaking to in the near future here and get award this to them so they can start doing the design work.
okay, and there is a recommendation in the report. And the recommendation reads that the committee recommend that WSP be instructed to complete the project management and preliminary design of the required upgrades to the wastewater treatment plant for the quoted price of $418,667 plus taxes, with the preliminary stage to be completed by June 30th, 2024. Do I have a mover for that? Moved by Councilor Banaka, seconded by Councilor Sandu. I see you first. Questions or comments? All in favor? Opposed with any? That motion carries. Just the question, if I may, will those be class D votes?
Class B, D, it's not as good.
D, and then we'll be moving up from there as the final design comes.
Yeah, it could be high, it'd be high.
This is the preliminary design. Just so we're all on the same page. Thank you. Where are we?
Again,
New business. Tour of the municipal facilities by council, so we're trying to accommodate tours of the water treatment plant, the sewer treatment plant, rec center, municipal hall, which we attend quite regularly, but can we make January work for those tours, ladies and gentlemen? So with myself and Joseph work with the managers on accommodating the date for those tours, and I send them out there with a couple of dates. We'll go from there. We'll start with the flag. Because it's slow season now, maybe.
Well, it's actually,
It's still. Okay, we'll try to accommodate them the best. Tour facilities and time.
The part of this, in my thinking, is that we have like a planning session day where we do the tour, but we also then come back here for some another location and have some time with each of the managers, department managers. And just an overall, like I felt this should have been done a year ago after the election, so we're into it a year, but I'm really open to this in January, and then just part of that will then play along with budget talks for 2024, also in my opinion.
Yeah, sounds good. I'll work with Joseph and see if we can accommodate that. But also on that topic, I think we had tried to come up with a date for an open house for the new town hall for inviting the public to come and have a look. Has there been any idea of when we would like to do that?
I see a list of who's just,
Deficient,
deficiencies that need to be.
but it shouldn't affect.
The pictures of the things too.
Yeah.
But fine.
So if I can have some sort of timeline when you get it. I know this has been redone, the council chambers,
We get a clause.
floor has been redone, there was some deficiencies in here, that we worked on out over the weekend, actually. A couple of weekends ago, so it's nice and level now. You're not walking on a lean anymore. Might have noticed that coming, sir. But we will, we'll get that out there, and I have reached out to the First Nation to see how they would like to participate in the ceremony. And we will keep them advised as they come. Let's see, any notices of motion? There was none at the beginning. Do you have any now? Seeing none. We have a question period. So for those people off site, if you have any questions on tonight's agenda items, you can email them to general@lakecalhoun.ca. general@lakecalhoun.ca, and we will get back to you with an answer appropriate in a 7-day time frame. That's clear. All of
They're not putting it out.
Sorry, that was just a little question. And for anyone in person, you have a maximum of 3 minutes for any item on the agenda that may be asked for clarification. If we don't have the answer, we will try to get it for you in an expedited manner. Any questions from the public? Would you please stand and state your name, sir?
Bill Garrett. Just a very brief question. I'm just wondering whether or not there is an attendance requirement for counselors, whether or not there's a bylaw pertaining to that, or whether or not there should be.
There currently is, sir. If a counselor misses 3 meetings without prior approval within the council remuneration procedure bylaw, then it can be censured or some sort of form taken from there. Each time that a person comes forward with a leave of absence, it is this body's prerogative to either approve it or not to approve it. At each point coming forward, when the counselor or the mayor brings forward that leave of absence, it's this body that makes that decision. And in all cases so far, that has been proved by this board. Thank you. Anyone else? Sir, nothing? Just watching? Thanks for attending tonight, we appreciate it.
Thanks for having me.
Well, anytime. Anytime. So with that, we will look for adjournment. Oh,
No, I'm looking at something. No,
no emails?